Alright folks, woo! Max got a floppy tail because he doesn't feel supported. Number one thing you want to do is make sure they feel supported, and they won't do that. Alright, I'm going to come to you today and make an update video. I guess they're all update videos. If you make your first video and then you make a second video, it's an update video. But here's Mac, and if you are following along, when 2025 turned around and Mac came out of brumation, he's been a very different Tegu. Mac is a male, black and white Tegu. I got him as a couple-month-old baby from Snakes at Sunset Pet Store in Florida. And I got a lot of my reptiles from them, so they all have been very healthy and pretty good animals. But Mac, for some reason, and I have my suspicion what maybe happened with Mac in 2025. Mac is 4 years old in 2025, and he's being good right now. He's transitioned a little bit from the initial, last 4 or 5 videos where Mac was a little unruly. And when I want to choose my words wisely, mostly the reptiles are not aggressive, but I don't know. I kind of think that sometimes they can be, but Mac has really gotten territorial. Let me spit that word out. Territorial. Very territorial. He's more concerned about what's going on around him in 2025. And that likely has to do, I'm thinking, from my research and just knowledge of animals, that Mac is becoming a lot more territorial. He's more mature. He's a male. Males, in all kinds of animals. And I just want to be careful with his head, because when he was younger, up to about 4 years old, I had a lot of trust in Mac, and so I would just let him do whatever he wanted to do, throw him over my shoulder. I didn't have much worries. But in 2025, Mac obviously has matured to the point that he's concerned with what's around him. And I've even heard and learned that reptiles, well, I know Mac, and maybe Tegus and maybe all reptiles can realize if you're female or male. Me being a male, I don't know how he knows that, but a female, some reptiles respond better to female keepers instead of male keepers. I may be seen as competition for Mac. Being a male, he may see me as competition in some way for him mating with females. And I have a female in the house, so there's constant female smell in the house that Mac likely smells. And so he's become very territorial, and there's many animals that are territorial, and some that come to my mind that you don't want to mess with most of the time, because when they, in their different seasons, their mating seasons, you got buffalo. The big buffalo, you don't want to mess with those. And also the big elk, you definitely don't want to, and deer and kangaroos, when they're in their specific part of their season or the year when they want to mate, you do not want to cross paths with some of those animals. And so when I bought Mac and Sassy, my red Tegu, Argentine Tegu, I watched a lot of videos, and I didn't hear a lot of people, I heard no one talking about, past having a little baby or a 1-year-old Tegu. And so this is all new territory for me, and I'm learning. I had no idea at, 4 or 5 years old that a Tegu could become a whole different character than they were when they were 1, 2, and 3-year-old. I had to go into the kitchen and turn the timer off for my dog food warming up. But Mac has, we're now, what month are we in? We're in June, July. We're approaching the end of July, so maybe up to this point, this has been their mating season, when they come out of brumation. And so, maybe this is the wind down of his sexual urges. And maybe that's why he's calming down some. But I have really lost a lot of trust in Mac from previous years, where I almost always want to have my hand close to his neck when he's maneuvering around me. I want to be able to control him, because just out of the blue, he'll be fine, and then one moment later, he decides he wants to open his mouth and grab my arm, my wrist, my fingers, my hand, my skin around, my stomach. If you had him around your shoulder, he could grab onto your ear or your neck, and it'd be just nasty. I cannot, how bad a large Tegu, a 4 foot, 5 foot Tegu's bite is, and especially depending on their mood. If they're just trying to warn you, or they're trying to fend you off from, being territorial, or sometimes I feel like Mac is trying to be aggressive. A lot of reptile experts will say, lizards or snakes or reptiles in general are never aggressive, they're defensive. But sometimes I look into Mac's eyes and what he's doing, and I almost pretty much want to say that's aggression from Mac. And so, it is what it is. But I've got some food here for Mac. I'm really leery now, and it's not being leery, it's being smart. I'm paying attention to Mac, because you can be talking to the video and focusing on you and me talking about him, and not paying attention to his eyes or the movement of his head, and he could easily latch on to a part of my body, and then you would see a major struggle from me. But from that point, but I'm learning quickly to respect Mac a whole bunch, being that he's almost, he is 4 foot long, and he's about 13 pounds. He's a substantial lizard now, but we're gonna feed him. So he kind of wants down on the ground. Got my tongs. We got some yellow squash. Let's see if he'll eat this real quick, and he will. Oh, don't eat the tongs. We got some banana. Here we have pepper. It's the yellow pepper, or the orangish pepper. This is kind of Mac's fruit and vegetable time. Usually he gets a lot of meat. He gets mice, quail. He gets chicks, a lot of baby chicks. That's really good for them. That's Mac will eat this stuff. Sassy, my red and black. Female Tegu won't touch yellow squash or peppers. I mean, I might be able to get one in her, and then she doesn't want the rest. She realizes what I'm trying to feed her. They definitely never want anything green. No kale, no any of the things that reptile or the Tegu owners will tell you your Tegus need. So if the Tegus are not wanting to eat it, then I don't think they really depend on it. Tegus are not dumb. They know what they need to eat. And so I don't, unless you're going to blend it up and disguise it with a bunch of other things, with meat products, then you might be able to put that in there if you want to, but always going to drop that on the ground. Here. Put that in there, but I don't supplement any of his food with much calcium or anything, because he gets lots of bones, he gets lots of mice, rats, and chicks, quail, larger sized chickens cut up. So he's always getting full whole prey. So that's key. I mean, if you're not feeding your Tegu whole prey items, they get a lot of nutrients from whole prey items, and that is like feeding them whole baby chicks or small chickens, or rats, a whole rat, or some bird. I feed Mac crawfish, whole crawfish. They like whole crawfish. They just a whole item like they catch in the wild is what they live on. They obviously in the wild they catch other objects, other snakes, lizards, small birds, a lot of insects, and that's what they survive on. So that's what they need, not what humans tell you your Tegus need. You just got to look at what they do in the wild. Maybe he's already finished. Here, you want that? Come here. I know you want another banana. Here, come here. Get the banana. Mac tends to like the peppers. I don't know why. I'm not a big pepper eater, but... You want that pepper? But yeah, Mac's being better. He's not what I think is just all territorial reactions. He's calming down some, but I'm going to have to really, maybe months and months, just learn, what happens in January or February, March, April, May, June, July, and be really cautious around that time. And then as he tames down, August, September, October, November, then they go down for brumation. And one thing that I didn't do this in 2024, 2025, is I didn't put Mac down for a full brumation. I kept his little hide box about 75 degrees instead of letting it get down to 59, 60, 61 degrees. He didn't get cool enough to really go into full brumation, so maybe that has some to do with it, something. Didn't get the rest that he needed and he woke up grumpy. I don't know. But I think it's more towards the breeding and that being territorial as far as his space. And so a lot of times I came into his space and he saw me as a threat. And that is really true. I mentioned, females, the difference between females and males. They can really tell the difference between human males and human females. And they might likely be more friendly towards a female keeper, and so act different towards a female keeper. But he's definitely wants to get down on the ground. And I have Sassy in here in the room in the hide box where Mac was in my larger holding tank or holding pen, and I can't let Mac and Sassy get together anymore. It's just too much of a risk of Mac hurting Sassy. Real quick, I'll show you Sassy, my red and black Tegu, Argentine Tegu that was likely born from a black and white parent and a red Tegu. She's my sweetheart, and I just transitioned her from the floor space, and she's going to go in the holding pen here and maybe get some UVB light. She doesn't like to sit under the UVB light, but I put her in there in case she does. And I just want to update you on Sassy's little tail. She's got a lot more growth coming off her tail. Mac injured her, bit off her little about 5.5 inches of her rear tail in his very territorial phase in 2025. This was about a month and a half ago, and it was very, very tragic. But she's doing well. She's very healthy. She's very spirited. That's why I call her Sassy. But yeah, there's her tail. She can wiggle the little pink section of this tail, just wiggle this like a little finger. Very interesting. And I've never experienced that before, the regrowth of a Tegu's tail. But I had to do it. Mac made me do it and kind of attacked Sassy. and very unfortunate. But I'm going to put her in there. That's my girl. She's a sweetheart. She's a little spastic, but she's a great Tegu, and never bites me out of being territorial, or not wanting me to pick her up. She's never ever really tried to injure me with her mouth, and that's a good thing. We're going to put her in here. That's where I had Sassy in her hide box, and Mac, of course, goes in there after I remove Sassy and investigates and smells where she was, likely wanting to get to Sassy. But it's sad that Mac attacked her. It actually attacked her twice. I have those injuries on video, and I have over 200 plus videos on these reptiles. So if you're really interested in learning about pretty much a lot of stages of Tegu growth, you can watch my 200 plus videos, all right? He's a gem. I mean, he's an awesome animal to have, but whoo, just got to be really, really aware and super, oh, hey, Mac, be super aware and paying attention when you handle this animal. He's an exotic animal, and you can get in trouble really, really fast. And I'll just share with everyone on the camera, I am so dedicated to my reptiles. Mac and Sassy and my 4 boas that are over there, I mean, they're my life. And sometimes I've gotten to the point, in 2025 where maybe I took on too much. I mean, am I able to handle Mac? And I am a huge reptile person and do a ton of research and knew what I was getting into. And then sometimes, I'm just like, did I make a good choice? Even I sometimes second guess what I did with, getting Mac, and question, am I able to take care of him? And so someone that goes into buying a Tegu and doesn't have nearly the knowledge or the patience or the availability to buy super expensive large enclosures or build a large enclosure, or the ability to buy all this food and feed him, rats and birds and quail, and go to the store and buy live crawfish, crawdads, and feed that to him. A lot of people don't know what they're getting into. And last thing you want to do is buy a Tegu and keep it 1 or 2 years and then give it up or let it go or let it die or not take care of it properly. That's the last thing you want to do. And a lot of people think, watch these videos and think how cool having something this large, but it's so much responsibility. And I just wanted to express it. Sometimes even I am like, I don't know what's going to happen. What if I get sick, lose my life, or something really bad happens to me and I'm away can't take care of them for 6 months or a year. What are my backup plans? And I really don't have any backup plans. My family has been like, I don't want anything to do with your reptiles. Anything happens to you, you crash on your motorcycle or your e-motorcycle, or you get shot doing something dumb, with your camera gear. Anything can happen. You can get robbed and get stabbed, and I could go in the hospital for months. Who's going to take care of my animals? There's just so much that needs to be considered. But that's my video long enough. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, great evening, wherever you are, like I always say. And again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.